You are tuning in to the You Are Loved podcast, where we hope to bring love and kindness to the world.
Welcome to another You Are Loved podcast, where we have the beautiful Miss Janet Alston Jackson, who had the name before the superstar. So she's a superstar in our eyes. And I almost fell forward. She's an award-winning author, speaker, a certified mindfulness teacher, and corporate trainer. Her autobiography, A Cry for Light, A Journey into Love, won the USA Book News Award for Christian Inspiration. For over 20 years, Janet has taught employees mindfulness and effective communications for companies including Boeing, Aircraft, Kia Manufacturing, Univision Television Network, T-Mobile, Ultimate Software, Cognizant, the United States Navy, and the Internal Revenue Service. She's facilitated workshops for law enforcement, healthcare workers, parents, teachers, college students, and entertainment industry professionals. A former publicist and in management for CBS and ABC television networks for 20 years, Janet promoted iconic celebrities and classic television shows that are currently on streaming services. Today, she teaches virtual mindfulness classes for employees at global companies, Kaiser Permanente, worldhealth.com, Vibe, emindful.com. She holds a bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism from San Jose State University. Janet is a member of Women in Film and Television Association and the International Mindfulness Teachers Association. She's passionate about helping foster children and has volunteered as a court-appointed child advocate and served on the organization's fundraising board. That's a lot, Janet.
Yeah, it is a lot.
In a good way. So that's really exciting. You've had quite the career. So you went from your journey from like the entertainment industry to becoming a mindfulness teacher, which is so inspiring. And I'm sure going through all that, you've had to learn mindfulness. What do you think was the turning point where you realized God's calling you to shift from promoting other voices to helping find peace within their own, to helping them find that?
Well, I started out with meditation and mindfulness, working in the television industry, which is like working lightning fast and with so many different personalities and celebrities, who are used to getting their way. And I had to talk them into publicity, which they didn't want to do. And so I learned meditation, but then I got into mindfulness. But what really catapulted me to mindfulness is that my husband was a motivational speaker, and we wanted to start doing classes together. But what happened is, what happened is we adopted one of our 3 kids. So we adopted 2 kids, and one had special needs with he was born with PCP, cocaine and alcohol in his system. And he had disruptive behaviors. And so I saw a part of myself, which was angry and frustrated, that needed more with mindfulness training to understand my emotions and how I can be more peaceful and more balanced so that I could help him and find the help that he needed, because he, at that particular time, he was had reactive attachment disorder, which a lot of kids coming from the system have, where they kind of push away people because they feel that they will leave them, which happened with his family. His mother, was on drugs, and so they kind of test you at times. And so I needed something which really could help me be calm and balanced, because I just saw a part of myself that was just always frustrated and angry. And even when he was doing well, I was on, survival mode. Like, when is he going to be disruptive? When am I going to be called up to the school with problems and that type of thing? And mindfulness helped me to see that even though things are happening outside of ourselves, that we create whatever comes to us, whether it's positive things or something that's negative, that we have that power to absolutely change that by shifting our mindset. And so mindfulness was just absolutely incredible. And I was able to take training from Thich Nhat Hanh, who brought mindfulness from the East to the West. He was known as the mindfulness godfather. He was interviewed by Oprah Winfrey a number of times, and he was the one that was charged and I lived in Los Angeles, and I found out he had a monastery about 2 hours away, and I saw. I got myself up to that monastery fast and was being able to go through the trainings with him. And I was really fortunate. He passed away about 2 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's
yeah.
awesome. So, can you share a little bit of your story and your testimony with like with your family and like what you had to overcome that helped you to develop this amazing, I like to say, ministry for what you're doing for others?
Sure. Yeah. I had to learn to go inside and feel the emotions. And that was kind of counter to what I grew up with. My mother remarried after my father passed away. And my stepfather was a wonderful guy, but he was a weekend alcoholic. And I spent time in the closet with my German Shepherd as they were screaming and yelling, that type of thing. And so a lot of those emotions that we have and incidents we have as kids, we carry on as adults because our body holds on to the fear and the trauma and the anger and the frustration. And I learned to tap into those feelings and to be courageous enough to feel them. And when you feel them, which is what mindfulness teaches, you open up a door, and those emotions that have been trapped in your body begin to leave on their own. We don't have to push them away or make them go away. And so I learned how to tap into, okay, I'm feeling maybe anger. Where is the anger in my body? Is it in my back or is it in my chest or whatever? And most people, most of us, we don't want to tap into that. It's like counterproductive. Why do I want to tap into something that's painful? But it actually is the opposite, because we push it down, and whatever you push it down, that's just trapped energy, and energy becomes stronger and it comes out in different ways. So I had to learn how to befriend myself. And that's what I love about your story about loving yourself. I had to learn to love myself, and mindfulness helped me to stop and feel, where is this in my body? It's like Louise Hay says, you can't clean the house unless you see the dirt, right? And so it's
Right.
inside of us. We have the dirt, and so we feel this stuff. You feel not just the emotion, but we feel the pain of it all, and it becomes illnesses. And for myself, I had high blood pressure and tumors and all this stuff that was coming up for me, one thing after another, dealing with my son. But when I was able to really practice mindfulness, and it's not like a heavy meditation thing, I began to befriend that part of myself and be able to calm down. And when I could see how he calmed down, because I was not just tensed and ready for him to do something wrong. And I know a lot of parents right now are going through that, especially with the cutback. One of the, they just closed down the special needs Department of Education. A lot of parents depend on that across the country to help with their special needs children, So now they're having to deal with them at home. How do they deal with them where they used to have therapists or some kind of help? And so mindfulness truly, truly does help you as you are looking for therapy or looking for some kind of support.
Yeah, that's amazing. I guess it's kind of like God's timing that we put together this children's workbook that we did that is around social and emotional development, around family, friends, schooling, being kind, dealing with bullies, how to be more empathetic, and how to move past some of those traumas, because going through a lot of that in the 80s and 90s and 70s, and just how we dealt with things a lot different back then.
Mhm.
It's
Yes.
we carry, like what you're saying, is like we carry those traumas into adulthood, and then we start seeing therapists, and then we try to work through it, and we seek
Mhm.
coaches to like tackle all of our blind spots that we don't even know that's there, and work to heal through all that. Which my business partner, whose son has been adopted, he was as a baby, and so hold on one second, please. Okay. And to give them an opportunity, to give her an opportunity, she really designed this around struggles that she was having with her own son, and even with other kids bullying him, and him learning how to deal with his emotions after his, biological parents that dealt with drug addiction. It is really, and he was born with that. So it's really super smart young man. He just has to learn how to work with his emotions, and she's a mom that's in tune to that and is working very hard to keep him in therapy and learn how to regulate all of that. So that was one of the other reasons why I was really excited to have you on the podcast today, and because you've conquered a lot of that, and your son's doing really well now, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he went into the Marines after we had to put him in placement just for special needs. And after he came out of that, he went right into the Marines, and that was hardcore training for him. But yeah, it's quite a journey for parents. I think our kids were our teachers, and I look at my son and I said, after being with the networks, I had a whole nother career, which is doing these speaking engagements for mindfulness because of what we went through together and how he is now trying to help other people go through it. He's writing his own book as well. And I said, that's so important because to hear your side of what's going on. But he would always say, thank you for not giving up on me, because a lot of parents do give up on their kids, either adopted or biological, because they can't handle them, and I don't blame them. I just know that if they knew better, they would do better. And I had to, that was for me, I had to learn how to do better, because I definitely was, had that survival mode and was always tense and, looking at whatever could happen, that he would be the cause of it, and realizing, okay, wait a minute, I'm attracting more of this to me. My emotions, because I'm already high strung, I'm attracting that energy is going out. We don't realize that. I'm also a heart math coach, and dealing with the heart. The heart gives more energy out to people around us than the brain gives out, and it's always communicating with the heart. That's why love is so important, because it dissolves these hardcore emotions. And I had to learn that, to understand that the heart, of course, it beats first before the brain, or when you're born, and it knows a lot. And different cultures talk about the heart being a brain, the heart brain, because it knows how to process emotions. The brain knows how to figure things out. But, from one point to another, your bank accounts and stuff like that, but it doesn't know how to deal with the emotions, and so what it does for us, it either brings up, okay, say for instance, like when COVID, struck. Well, the brain automatically says, when did this happen before? So it goes into the little file cabinet, says, okay, I can't figure out when this happened before, because it hasn't. So then what it does is projects into the future to bring up different ideas, and here's what you need to do, and you can get COVID, you can get this and that. So the brain, we want to befriend that, because it's just trying to protect us, but we have to understand that we can't solve things just with the thoughts, the brain, because it's like going in to put out a fire as with the person who started a fire, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to shift into the heart, into the love and the peace. That's why I love being on your show. And I thought, oh my God, and I looked at your story and all the things that you have to help people with the love. And when we can shift down into that just for a moment or two, we're not talking about heavy mind meditations. It's the opposite of meditation. Mindfulness is being in the present moment. And we have moments like this all the time, like when we get ready to taste something good, ice cream or whatever it is. That's a present moment, but we don't cherish those moments enough. Or, walking down the street or whatever it is, and we see the plant. Being able to look at the colors and around the rooms that you're in right now, looking at the shadows, just takes a few moments to be in the present moment. And that's where we find love. That's where we find clarity. That's where we find that peace. But I do want to preface to make it clear that mindfulness is not a religion. It's a philosophy. It's a way of living. But I use it personally because when I can quiet the mind, I can hear my higher power talking to me or whatever, guiding me and directing me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now that was going to be my next question, actually. So, in your experience, like, what's one myth about mindfulness that often holds people back from trying it? Like, especially with a strong faith background, who may see it as like new agey or outside their
Yes.
beliefs. So I
Yes,
wonder about that
exactly.
too. A Christian, and I just like to say, okay, I just want to make sure that I'm never doing anything that's putting anything before Christ. And
Mhm.
so,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it is not to anybody with any type of faith or can practice mindfulness. It's just being in the present moment without judgment. And so any religion, you can practice it. And when you're in the present moment, just taking a breath, feeling the breath coming in and out, it calms the mind and calms the body so that we have clarity, we have intuition, or you can hear your higher power or the
Mm,
universe speaking to you, no matter what you call it. But again, I make sure people know that mindfulness is not a religion and it doesn't interfere with religions. It's just learning to be in the present moment as we sit here for a moment and as we talk and we can feel our breathing, and that calms the mind and the body. That helps us to shift from one aspect of always the mind right now is going in circles, ruminating because everything is happening so fast with us in society and the news and social media. And so we're getting bombarded by all this stuff. And mindfulness gives us a place that we can go into peace. It's like a sanctuary. It's going inside of ourselves. And that's what the mystics and the spiritual teachers taught us through the ages, is just to be quiet, where Jesus went up into, the mountains and
mm-hmm.
into the garden, and he was being quiet. And that's what mindfulness is just take these small moments. And it doesn't have to be a half hour or a meditation where you cross your legs and sit before a candle. It's just sitting, right before you go to sleep and just feeling the breath in and out your body, simple little things like that, smelling the food as a cook, as you are cooking it. And that's one of the things that helped me as a mother raising kids, 3 kids and stuff. And I would come home late and my husband would put the kids to sleep and I would be cleaning up or whatever it is. It's just taking the time as you're sweeping the floor with the broom, listening to the sound of the broom just for a
Mm-hmm.
moment or two. It just brings you into that self, yourself, your higher self. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And it becomes a habit because you find that instant peace. Whether you're going into therapy, you're sitting waiting for therapists or whatever it is, and then you're feeling yourself relax, as you're driving down the street, listening to the sound of your car. You become a better driver because you're more alert, seeing the color of the lights, the red, yellow, green, or whatever it is, so you're right in the present moment. And that's yourself. That's your true
Mm,
self. That's where you
yeah.
find a divine self because that's who you are.
Yeah.
We were born with that. All you got to do is look at little kids and they're laughing and jumping around and happy. That's who we are inside. So when we're being mindful, we're letting go of the toxic emotions that keep us from ourselves. And that love begins to come out naturally and comes out around and connects with people. And the more you do it, don't be surprised. People will be calling you out the blue, people you forgot about, and whatever it is, because they feel that energy, going to work
Yeah.
or wherever it is, going to the store. People in the store will say, well, can I help you or whatever it is, because they feel your energy of love
Yeah.
and happiness
Yeah.
and peace. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because if a friend of mine who she's a Buddhist
Mhm.
and she just always has like this peace about her and she does like
Mhm.
meditation and stuff in the morning and so forth. So and she's just very graceful and she just always dresses to impress. She just always looks fantastic. And I'm always kind of like the girl that just figures out she plans her outfits for the week, which I love and admire that about her. But I'm the girl that like figures out what I'm going to wear that day. It's just kind of like, oh, what do I feel like today? And pull stuff out of the closet. And one of I love that she is so peaceful because sometimes I feel like I'm David in the Bible where I'm all like at war a lot. But I feel at most peace and centered and so forth when I am more centered with my faith and I'm in
Mhm.
tune with God and I am at more at peace. Like I don't really know how to explain it. Like just stuff's just like way more chill
Mhm.
and happening in life. So yeah, so it's like I admire people that can just wake up and they just meditate first thing in the morning
Mhm.
and for 10 or 15 minutes and do all that. I just really just I'm like, oh, I would love to. I wish that was more me, but and so because I have that, it's like, okay, my biggest thing is like I always tell my friends, like when you're talking about living in the moment, I was just telling my friends I love you before we ever hang up a phone
Mm.
call or my
Yeah.
family. Like
Yes.
that's so important to me because you just never know when it's
Right.
going to be the last day, and I just want that person to know like the last thing I said to them was that I love them,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
mean it.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
um,
It's beautiful.
now, when you, so one of the biggest things, like, so with our friends, family, our work environment, and so forth, when we're combining, right? When I want to become from David to like David and Goliath to like Ruth in the Bible, or you often combine communication skills with mindfulness. So one, why is that blend so powerful? And how can like better communication actually reduce conflict and increase peace in like our work and personal relationships?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. It's a great question. And what I had learned before going into a meeting, going into the office or whatever I had to do, dealing with other people, was to send love, you know, sending love into the environment and sending love, feeling that love is surrounding me. It can be like a light around you or a color or whatever it is, but feeling that love because it's there. And all we have to do is tune into it. We don't have to get love or try to attract love. When we are feeling that love inside of ourselves, you find that people automatically shift to be more um, just connected with you in a different way. But I think it's so important that we prepare ourselves, even going on this call. I was sending you love and sending whoever else was out there love because it helps prepare me to know that we are all one anyway, that we're connected with energy. And that makes such a big difference. And I know for myself, I just want to share a short story for anybody with relationships. When I was dating, dating people before I got married, Um, the different guys were just different, they're just, and then I said, I'm wasting my time here. All right. So I began to sit down. I said, I'm going to attract the right person to me. And so I cleaned out my closet and put my clothes on one side. So it's space for my new love, my husband, or whatever it is. And I slept on one side of the bed. And every day I would come home from work and I was into rug crafting and that type of thing. And I'd get my dinner and I'm thinking, Wonder what my future husband is. Where is he? Is he in another state or whatever it is?" And I was sending out love. And
Mm-hmm.
it ended up that I went to a restaurant with some girlfriends, and they're very beautiful women. They were in Los Angeles from different studios and stuff like that. And there was this guy that came up to me where these other women were there, and we started talking, connecting. And short story, long story short, within 6 months we were married. And we were married 41 years,
That's
and,
beautiful.
and that was my soulmate. He passed away a few years ago. But that was my soulmate. We worked together. He was a motivational speaker, and I did the mindfulness. And we went to companies and organizations and colleges and stuff and spoke together. But it was about attracting that love. I didn't have to go out, and like I said, I stopped going out with different guys and whatever. And we talk about the law of attraction, but we talk about it like visualization, and it's more than that. It's more of a feeling that that person is already in your life, that situation is already in your life. And I had to feel with my son that he was already doing well, so
Mm,
it's a matter of feeling it in your body. That's the connection. It's not just about, getting vision boards and putting that down there, whatever, but it's about having the feeling that you already have, whether it's finances, it's health. Just about 3 weeks ago, I had a knee replacement, and I said, okay, this is a shift for me. I'm going to have this new identity, and I'm going to, a better identity of health wise, and I'm going to feel so good, and I'm going to feel that my body is already healed now. And
mm,
it's amazing that I had been off the cane and walking around. People were amazed, but we create that from
yeah,
feeling, not just
yeah.
visualizing, but feeling like, okay, how does my body feel if I was walking around and I was doing everything well? And I'm amazed in myself. I'm absolutely amazed at how far I'm walking now and in such a close time, and people are amazed to see me and said, "Wow, that's a." So, but again, it's going back to the heart, loving my body, loving my knee and talking to it. Okay, knee, thank you. I love you. Thank you for healing. Thank you, my other leg, for helping take the burden off of the walking, that type of thing. So, it's all about love. And one other thing I saw in your store about the journal, I think it's so important to journal. I journal to my higher self in the mornings,
Mm-hmm.
because if I just talk or put out just the prayers or whatever it is, when I want answers for things, and that's my chat, and that's my AI, my higher power, I call it. And journaling for me, I write it like a script form, like a movie, like I put M for me, and I said, "Good morning." I call it Abba, which is what Jesus called
Mm-hmm.
Christ,
Mm-hmm.
Christ of the Father was Abba. And then I listen and I hear, the response, and it says, "Good morning, Jan," and I ask questions, and writing it down, and
Mm-hmm.
I keep it on my laptop, and I name it, health challenge or whatever it is, and I can go back and read that because it's clear. It just comes, and we just take that moment to open up, and we get that direction, that we can't get from just going online or chat or we're talking to friends or family. We get the clear, customized answers that's right inside of ourselves. It's always been there, but we just have to move out the toxic emotion that's covered over. And then we find that that's our true self, our beautiful, loving self, it's right there for us to
Yeah.
connect with. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about like us creating, because this is things sometimes when I'm going through some harder transitions in life, and where I'll just sit there in the morning when I start my day and I just write out everything that I'm thankful for, even if
Yes.
it's like what I view as like the smallest things. But and even just like waking up in the morning, I'm just thankful for that, because not everybody has the opportunity to do that, you know.
Mhm, mhm,
And I'm thinking about putting together like something around like a journal around that, and just, you know, just giving people an opportunity to express for
mhm,
themselves and start the
mhm.
day with what is it that they're thankful for, you know?
Mhm. And I think that's a great idea because love is number one energy, and under
Hmm.
love is gratitude.
Yeah.
And so that is so important. That's a wonderful thing to do. When we're grateful, then we begin to see things around us that we have ignored. And and just little small things. So, and I do that too. I'm just thankful for everything. I was in Los Angeles. It was in an earthquake, and the toilets didn't flush for like 2, 3 weeks. And so, even though I was left there, and now in Atlanta area, it's like oftentimes I get on the toilet. I said, "Thank you for the flushing toilet." You know, I mean, but yeah, I think that the gratitude journal is a fabulous thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for pipes not bursting during the cold spells in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
So, so, now when it comes to children, you said like your passion for foster children runs deep. Like, how has that experience of advocating for the voiceless
Mhm.
influenced your spiritual and mindfulness journey? And then I'll share a couple things.
I was a court-appointed child advocate in Los Angeles, where I took cases where social workers, had cases, but then they needed other advocates there in the courts with the kids, because the social workers were overloaded and with so much paperwork and things like that. And so, um, after adopting the 2 kids, I really saw the need for that. And of course, with mindfulness helped. And then I had a nonprofit called Believe in Yourself.
Oh,
And
I
we
love
taught,
that.
yeah, and we taught the kids. We were in a couple of schools and in a recreation center, and the parents brought their kids there, and we taught them how to breathe, the kids how to breathe. And when we would eat snacks, we said no talking, kids, and just a taste of food. And the kids got a big kick out of that. In fact, I was talking, I had seen one after the organization had closed, because then we went into a profit for our speaking engagements and stuff like that. But this one kid says, I learned how to eat, because he was gobbling food down. And he says, learning how to
Hmm.
taste the food, but just being in a quiet moment of tasting the food, and it becomes, rich for you. But yeah, the kids really, when my kids were small, I taught them all to sit down and just doing the breathing, which helped tremendously. And uh, that's what I've been running to go back to, working with foster kids on that level. Yeah.
That's awesome. I saw a reel on I think it was Instagram earlier
Mhm.
today, and it was this young man who's 14 years old, and he was in and out of foster care, running from away from foster care parents, and just running away from homes and stuff like that. And then he was like in like it with the state intermediary, where he was in like an orange jumpsuit and stuff, and he was at the courthouse, and this one family had came, this older couple had come and was bringing him books and just showing up like every week to see him,
Mhm.
and so forth. And he just thought they were just doing part of their job or whatever, or
Mhm.
just trying to be a resource. And when he went to court, the judge had told him that they were there to actually adopt him, and that they were
Oh,
there for the final adoption proceedings, which he had no idea was
oh,
happening.
wow. Wow.
And he just started bawling because he felt loved
Yeah.
and wanted and cared
Yes.
for, where the judge actually got down from the bench and grabbed him, and just like they just hugged each other. And it was
Mhm.
just such a beautiful story. I just started
Oh,
crying
wow. Yes,
watching a 30-second
exactly.
reel. It was just really beautiful.
Yes.
Um, we have like, I'm like a huge advocate for my mom and my dad, which are 77 years old. My mom's a 2-time stroke survivor. She's nonverbal at
Mm,
this point. Well, she can just say yeah and shake her head no, and just like very
mhm,
minimal speech. But we had someone, I'm not going to say the company's name because it's not important, but we had a person come yesterday that was supposed to come and see my mom, and that was sent by the healthcare company, and to come in, do her blood work and just do all this stuff to check
mhm,
on her. And the lady like just showed up, sat in front, said she was here, then like left after a couple of minutes, never even came to the
mhm,
door, never came up, nothing. And then when I called to find out, like all of a sudden we opened the door and she was gone. We were waiting for her to come
mhm,
in. We didn't want to walk up to her car, and we were watching her from outside, and then went inside, opened the door a couple times, like, okay, she's not coming. And she never came. And then when I called, they were like, oh, she said she called and your voicemail was full. She knocked on the door and no one answered. She all this stuff. And I was like, all of that is 100% a complete lie. I said she was running late, probably because
mhm.
she was supposed to be here earlier. She got here at 3:05. She was supposed to be between 2 and 3. She was running
Oh,
late, wanted
wow.
to make it to her next appointment. So instead of being honest and
Mhm,
talking about that, and running late, she completely lied about everything.
mm,
And so what I had said, and when I called yesterday to find out what's going on, and so I called my phone from my aunt's phone while I was on the phone with her, sent it to voicemail so you can see my voicemail's not full. And I'm
mm,
looking, I have no missed calls.
mhm,
So, and I was like, whatever. And I was like, nothing on my Ring camera, anything. So this chick got the wrong daughter on the
wow.
wrong day. And that's where like David comes out at me because I'm
Wow.
bored. But it wasn't, what I told the lady, I said, my mom's fine. I said, my mom has an advocate. I'm her advocate. I am
Mm,
there for my mom. And so is my aunt. I said, but the issue is all these other elderly people that don't have an advocate, that you guys
yes.
are part of that
Mhm,
advocate for them, to check on them, to make sure that they are okay. And then she's
right.
lying about that. And I
Wow.
said, that's not appropriate and it's
Mhm,
unethical. And I said, and if you guys are getting paid for that missed visit, it's Medicare fraud. I said,
mm,
so, and she was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, we'd like to reschedule. And then they schedule out for the 10th, but they're trying to get me an earlier appointment.
mm,
But that's my thing. It's like we all need, like for the voiceless, right? We all need some kind of advocate. Even when we do have a
yes.
voice, we need close friends. We need people that love us. We need to have those people that surround us that can
Right.
advocate for us.
Mhm,
And it is really a beautiful thing to have. It's so important to have like that strong friendship
mhm,
surrounding us. So I'm just,
mm,
but it's, yeah.
mm,
So it was just really, it's like my mom's fine. It's just that it's important. The lady was like, no, I thank you for calling and letting us know because for all those that don't call and say
yeah,
anything. And a lot of it's
yeah,
probably going to be the elderly, and like those little
right.
kids that
Sure.
don't have a voice and no one's listening. And they're just like, you don't know what you're talking about. And they just brush them aside.
Mhm. Yes, exactly. Your mom is so blessed to have you as an advocate, as her child, because that's so important, especially when she doesn't have the speech, but she knows that you love her so much,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's such a beautiful connection, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you're learning a lot from her too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've had to grow through anger and frustration and
Mhm.
sadness and just like
Yeah.
everything that as a caretaker where your life just gets turned upside down, where you have to figure everything out and put stuff into place,
Mhm.
to move through our own circle,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
forth. So yeah. So but
Yeah.
but it's a blessing where God just brings the right people around us. The
Mhm.
Lord knew that when my mom had me that, this day was going to come, and
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
and so here it
Yeah.
has. And
Yeah.
so for those listeners that do struggle with like constant stress, burnout, emotional overload, like how do you think someone can begin to practice mindfulness when their mind
Mhm.
feels too busy or their life feels too full to slow down?
Yes. There are several ways of just beginning mindfulness is counting the breath, inhale and exhale. And it's counting that way. And the mind is going to take you off and you just keep bringing it back. And some people feel like, okay, my mind is wandering and I can't concentrate on the breath. But every time you stop and notice the mind is wandering, that's mindfulness. And it's not how many times you've fallen off the horse, it's how many times you get back on. So there's also the 4-4 count or 4-4-6 count, breathing into the count of 4, breathing out to holding it for a count of 4 and breathing out to the count of 6, in through the nose and out through the mouth, and breathing deep into the diaphragm. And that's where babies breathe. If you watch, their little stomach goes up and down, especially when they're sleeping. But when we're
Mm-hmm.
stressed out, we're breathing through the chest, that hyper type
Mm.
of breathing. And so when we're learning just to take some few deep breaths all the way into the stomach, and like I said, counting, and then if you come and get off count, then start again and start again. And when you begin to feel that part of yourself, it's a flow that's right there. It's what athletes connect with. It's what dancers connect with, singers. There's a flow inside of us. And so we just capture a little bit of it. It becomes like, oh man, I want to get back there to that flow when you're relaxing. It's just like when you take a
Mm-hmm.
deep breath and you exhale, it's relaxing. But oftentimes we go back with our mind, and that's okay too. We don't want to beat up on ourselves because that's what the mind does. But we're retraining the mind to concentrate just for a few minutes on the breath, the inhale and the exhale, and feeling how it feels when we're coming out through the body. Is it expanding? If we feel
Mm-hmm.
our stomach, or putting our hand on our chest, or putting a hand on our stomach, and just feeling that just for a couple of moments, and we feel that flow, and then that's what we want to just surrender into. You can say, I'm surrendering into my higher power, wherever it is. You can name it whatever it is, or surrendering into the breath, and that begins to take us out of the monkey mind, that's always constantly, on guard, the survival mode. It's the survival
Mm-hmm.
is the fighting, or fleeing or freezing, and that's so typical right now. And so we don't want to beat up on ourselves. We just want to notice that's the state of our mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're in a state of that mind, we say, okay, what's the opposite? It's like the opposite of fear is love. So one of the things to do as well is so important. It's like with the heart math is breathing into your heart. And when you're feeling something that, remembering, this is where your journaling is so important, is when was I feeling so good? Would I go on a
Mm.
vacation, or when I pet my pet, or when I did whatever it was? And for me, I'm a scuba diver, so when if I'm getting all upset or whatever it is, I feel in my breath, and I'm breathing in and breathing out through the chest, breathing this way. And then I bring up the words scuba, and it takes me back to that place. You can name your pet, whatever, or a person who passed on, put their name there, and you feel it, and allowing your body just to relax into that feeling. And so just for a moment, those are just simple things you can do. And you want to make a
Mm.
list. When I had a little puppy, a little Yorkie puppy, and then I would use him, and I would say his name was Lex, but then he started peeing every place, right? So I had to change, so make a
Mm-hmm.
list of good moments that made you feel good. Maybe it was a
Mm.
vacation, maybe it was something you did, so that you can call up that name, and all of a sudden you can feel that relaxation, so you're retraining the brain to be in that state. Yeah.
Mm. I love that. I wanted one of the things also is thinking about like if people are going through struggles. Like my chapter is Psalm 31 where it all talks about something. I always
Mhm.
feel like I'm overcoming something. Which is my friend my friend who's the Buddhist is always like, Jacqueline, you need to change your energy. Sometimes in my thought process. But one of the things that works also is like when someone's going through a major situation in life is think about this is not the first situation or transition you've gone through in your life. You made it through the last one. You can make it through this, and think about how great things were on the other
Yes.
side of that and hold on
Yes.
to that. Right.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
that's important because we forget about what we came through, and
Mm-hmm.
this is like this time of the year. The leaves are falling off off the trees, and it's letting go of the other stuff so we can be stronger in the spring. In the spring, to the trees and make
Mm.
room for a strength of a new branches and things like that. So the things we're going through right now, when we get upset about it, those are the ones that make you stronger. You're building resilience getting
Mm.
through it. So you want to not just get upset with it. It's showing you how the strength that you're building something inside of yourself, and you keep getting stronger and stronger. And a lot of well, just spiritual teachers throughout the centuries, they loved getting into the challenges, like, dark times, because they knew they could shift out of it, and help them to use any tactics. And it's good to have different things that you can use, like I was saying, different, instead of just saying, your pet or scuba diving. There's other things you can use, or counting the breath, because the mind gets used to certain things sometimes, and you can't always rely on that. It wants to always be in control, because that's what the mind does. So we don't want to get
Yeah.
upset with the mind, but that's what the mind does. So that's why, it's great to experiment with different types of practices that you can do to relax the mind and the body. But through the relaxation is the healing, and it's just that moment, being in the present moment, looking at a glass of water. It's like, okay, look at the water, look at the light, how it comes to the water. That's just one moment. And so you're training yourself just to be in the present moment, breathing, smelling, tasting, and just
Mm-hmm.
seeing, how in the room around you, where's the light coming in as far as the shadow. And you can do that while you're waiting to connect on the phone with somebody or whatever it is, or waiting for a meeting to start. But those are the simple, or waiting to pick up somebody, picking up your kids from school, then you're just noticing the light. So
Yeah.
uh, those are small things to do to connect with that side of yourself.
Yeah, 100%. I notice that when like my anxiety is getting kind of high, I take a step back from everyone. I just get really quiet and then I just do breathing exercises
There you
to
go.
calm
There,
myself down. Yeah.
there you
So
go.
that way I'm not responsive and reactive. I am
Right.
able to just recenter myself and move back. So what do you think is probably like one book that changed your life?
The Miracle of Mindfulness. That was the
Oh,
book. That was
yes.
that was by Thich Nhat Hanh. And what happened when
Okay.
I left ABC, and I left ABC because I was I was with CBS and ABC, but that's when my son was going through all of his difficult stuff, and I used to travel a lot with shows and things like that. And that's when I decided, okay, I gotta be home with this kid, and to be there. And I left. This is in Los Angeles, and went down to, it's like a little mall, and there's a bookstore, and I was reaching in the self-help section, and I was reaching for a book, or something to help me with his stuff. And as I was reaching for that book, his book, Thich Nhat Hanh's book, fell down. And it's really that
Mm,
small book, and it's exactly what we're talking about, being in the present moment. You can read it. I practically read it right then and there. And that's the book that really changed the Miracle of Mindfulness. And I was so fortunate because he wrote the introduction to my book, A Cry for Light, which I talked about going through all my trauma with my son, leading me to to mindfulness as well. So, but his book, The Miracle of Mindfulness, it's so easy to read. And washing, like you're washing dishes or whatever, listening to the sound as you put the plates up, smelling the soap. And oftentimes we're in the shower and we're already where we want to go, instead of
mhm.
feeling this feeling the soap and feeling the bubbles and smelling the soap and whatever. So it's just bringing ourselves, learning, we're training our mind. That's what we're doing. We're teaching ourselves how to be in the present moment. Yeah.
No, I love that. And I think a lot of times we don't live there. And it's so important to do that, to basically enjoy what we have right in front of us, right
Hmm.
then and there, you know?
Yes,
And
agree.
being fully present. So when it comes to being fully present, like what does that look like for you in one word?
Peace.
Okay, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, yeah, peace. It's like, I'm home, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, going
um
inside is home.
so Janet, before we go, what, I know you have a course, something that you've put together for for the people that you serve. So can you tell us a little bit about that and where people can find it?
Yes, if you go on my website, Janet A. Jackson, put that A in there, you get the singer who I used to work with on Good Times. Anyway, it says courses right at the top, and it's coming up, and maybe in a couple of weeks, so they can put their name in there and they can read about it. It's Awakening to Divine Love with Mindfulness. It's showing how
Mm,
you to tap into the love that's already there by just what we're talking about, being in the present moment. Then we can feel that love that's there. And so the course is 5 sessions on helping with meditations and things that you can do just to tap into the love that's already within inside of you right now. It's shifting
yes.
into seeing that we don't have to get something on the outside. We don't have to buy something or whatever it is, that you're already divine love, you
Yes.
are a part of the higher power, and so that's what the course is about. But like I said, you can go on, and I also do classes for Kaiser that's free for people to go on. That's also on the right under events, right on the home page. And you can come on and we do sessions for anybody. You don't have to be a Kaiser member. And it's for people over 60. It was labeled that way, but it's for anybody of any age with mindfulness, and everybody different ages come on from around the country.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I was one thing that stuck out from what you just said was finding that love within ourselves. And I feel like a lot
Mhm.
of times we don't find that. We don't see it.
Mhm.
We don't
Mhm.
feel it. We don't hear it. We don't
Mhm.
express it, and we don't receive it, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel like that is just so important for us to be able to get back to mindfulness and be at
Mhm.
that peace. So,
Yeah, and that's one of the sessions in the course is self-critic,
mm,
and this switch from self-critic to self-compassion. So that's included in the
I
course
love
of being
that.
self-compassionate to yourself. Yeah, and that's about, a lot of people think that's being egotistical, but it's self-care when we're self-compassionate,
Yeah.
and we're able to take care of other people. And like you being a caretaker, being able to take care of yourself and loving yourself helps you to love your and take care of your mom, and she feels that energy, she feels
Yeah.
that love and that peace, and that's so important as parents and whatever else that we're doing in our jobs, and like you're saying, the lady who was supposed to be coming to help your mom, is helping other people at different times of different types of careers. We need to just help take care of ourselves so that we can give that love and energy to other people. But we can't give from a half empty cup,
No.
it's
Mm-mm.
just gone.
We have to take that time each day to fill our cup up,
Mhm.
however we
Yeah,
make the decision to do that. So,
right.
Janet, thank you so much, Miss Janet
Oh,
Alston
thank
Jackson.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
coming on.
It's an honor to be with you, and thank you so much, Jacqueline. And like I said, I just love your site, and you're giving out so much love and so much help and support. When I saw the name of it, I said, "Oh my God, that's fantastic!" So
So,
thank you for inviting me.
yep. Thank you so much, Janet. I hope you have an
Okay,
amazing day. Okay.
you too. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
All right. Thank
Okay,
you.
bye.
Everyone, thank you so much for coming on to another You Are Loved podcast. We truly appreciate it. Be sure to check us out at youareloved.store, or if you want to get your own free 21-day transformational journal, go to youarelovedjournal.com.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of You Are Loved. If you have any topic ideas or would like to be a guest on the show, please hit us up on Instagram at youareloved.store.